What's good, everybody? It's your boy ServerError405. Alongside me is my good friend Shawn Pittman. This is the King of Queens Conver-say-tion podcast, and we talk everything about everyone's favorite television show, the King of Queens. We don't care if it's 20 years old. We're talking about it now in the old
Relevant.
25. That's what the kids say today, right? In the old 25.
Relevation.
Yeah.
Relevation.
Renovation, por favor. There's so many good things. So we have a lot of variety of things that we talk about with King of Queens. And if you're a fan of the show, please correct us in the comments. Please tell us what you want us to talk about. Please add anything else to the conversation that you think we might have missed. We appreciate that. So the first thing we're going to talk, we have a few things. We listed it off. And
before you get started, though,
yeah,
sorry. A little shout out to your Final Four podcast, which I'm assuming is going to be playing around the same time this one drops. And there was a discussion about top running backs.
Here we go.
Both of us dropped the ball in our top five, and we did not mention heifer legs. But really, he's number one.
He did get a shout out. I didn't call him heifer legs, but I did call him by his government name.
I meant to break in there, but I never got time. Yeah, heifer legs.
Yeah, that because he was a great running back against those kids.
Down to Samoan.
Yeah, he did one time. Okay, so the one thing that I really want to get into and talk about, which is the notes that I have right here that I take when I watch the show, because we both watch it every night, every day. It consumes our life. Maybe this is like a rehab for us, like this for us to talk about it.
Yeah.
You know, it's good
to get it all out there. Yeah.
It's an innovation, right? Intervention.
Why didn't we not do an episode about that? Holy cow!
That was just him saying that. She mentions it in an episode, like how you. Oh. She said, you know how you say things like you put onion.
Yeah, onion. Yeah.
There you go. Little cookie break here for my son.
Oh, okay. Man, I forgot about cookie break.
Yeah, we've got to have cookie break in here. All right, so the main thing for people who are the fans, there's an episode called Eddie Money. So in the episode, Doug steals $100 of his own money out of the tin can that they have in their little. It's next to the cookies. Speaking of cookies,
nice segue.
That you've never even heard of this can before. All their money troubles that they've had, they've never dipped into the can. Like, what do we get in the can? They've never talked about it. But this time he took 100 and was ready to go. The first thing I noticed in that episode was she said, "You want to chug a beer before I slap a fat no on you?" He's going to work. He's got his work clothes on. It's in the morning. Like, I'm not shaming anyone drinking in the morning. Cheers to that. But why would she say that as a line? Why wouldn't she just say, "No, you can't have it"? Just say,
yeah.
You want to chug a beer? Like, okay, I'll chug a beer.
I guess you can't. No, you can't have. It's not going to get any laughs. So you got to throw something out there.
Yeah, I guess
it's funny to chug a beer in the morning. So
I guess so. I guess I'm laughing my ass off every day. But yeah, I think it was just really weird how she handled it. I know that at the time she said they needed a new roof and Arthur needed a new bed and all these other things, and she was upset over the gambling of the $100. So Doug proceeds to take it anyways, and the Pop-Tart, can't forget that, dips out. He ends up winning the bet with Deacon in the office pool, which was $5,000. So it's $100 buy-in. So that would mean there's 50 people that bet on this boxing fucking shit. So wouldn't more people in theory have won too? Because there's only like 12 rounds in most boxing fights.
Yeah.
So if you have 50 people in it,
everyone's
gonna get a round. So you're gonna have multiple winners.
Yeah, I never even thought about that.
You know what I'm saying? Like really, like there's a lot of math ain't mathing in this episode. So that's one of the many things. And I've been rewatching this episode to see the things that I've missed too. And there's still probably more because it's full of a lot of malarkey, like my grandmother used to say. When it comes,
word.
Yeah.
Cheers to your grandmother.
Cheers to grandma. Rest in peace. There's a lot of stuff in there that doesn't make sense. Here's the other thing too. When they're watching the fight, Deacon's getting really excited. Doug's like, "Shh, she doesn't know I took the money. But can they be excited watching a fight?
Yeah, I know.
Is she instantly going to think they put money?
And Deacon can still gamble the money.
Yeah,
So
he could be like, I'm the one that did it. You know what I mean? Like, it just, there's so many things. So the main thing I want to talk about with this episode is they go on a big shopping spree. Eventually, Arthur tags along, which is great because that was a perfect like add-on. Like him walking in and the audience, you can hear the audience. Like when he walked in and stares at the money, like the audience knew that this is going to be great,
Yeah.
And a lot of times they don't have an audience and whatever, but certain times you could tell there's an audience there.
Yeah.
And he sees the Ferrari outside. He sees the money. And by the way, when you look at the money, there's a lot of ones on that table.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of big bills for being $5,000.
Yeah.
Not a lot of 20s.
I didn't even pay attention to that.
Yeah, if you look at the money, there's just plenty of ones, a few 20s here and there. It's like, wait a minute, you could probably count it and see how much is there. So do they really spend $5,000? Like Deacon still had money left over
to buy his mom a cruise.
To cruise, which is like, okay,
I'm paying a cruise off right now, and it's close to that for me alone, and I'm sharing a room. So don't tell me.
What would that be 20 years ago? Because we have to think 20 years ago, obviously it's not going to be the same price, but it still would be relatively expensive.
At least half. And if they won $5,000 each or $5,000 between them.
In between them, because Doug had $2,500, because Deacon said to him, he goes, Carrie's not going to be mad you won $2,500.
Yeah. So 20 years ago, a cruise and flights and hotel, over $2,500. I remember always thinking that too. I'm like, what do you mean you're gonna get your mom a cruise? What are you sending her on a sailboat in the friggin' Long Island or whatever?
Hey, let's not talk about boats. That almost got you in trouble in the Final Four. We're just gonna talk about Deacon and boats.
True.
So that's just the cruise part. So then they go out on their adventure, and the things that they get that I can remember was mani-pedis.
Yeah.
They paid a guy to streak.
Yeah. I forgot about that.
They paid a guy to streak. They did a tandem bike ride.
Yeah.
They rented the Ferrari. They gave a homeless guy a bunch of money. They just kept throwing him like 20s. Yeah. They ate, of course.
Steaks and lobsters. And the small cone, not the big one.
Yeah, the small cone, not the big one. They paid the construction guys so they could use the jackhammer.
Oh yeah.
I think there was one more.
Well, then the big final thing.
The final thing was the Eddie Money thing. Yeah, that's the title of the episode. And how much would he charge to pray in someone's home with someone else?
Yeah,
like you're getting Eddie Money plus the guitar player.
Yeah.
So what is that? What would you think that would cost 20 years ago?
20 years ago, probably like. I mean, to get a musician was $50,000. Like you'd think, right?
I mean,
and like Eddie Money's not some random guy off the street.
Yeah,
I always think the same thing. And then after they like work it out, after they're having their steak and lobster, like we only spent $700. I'm like, what?
That's way. It's way more.
Yeah.
I think it was even $600. Like it was
something like that.
From that point, it was like just that steak and lobster meal plus tip. Should be like a few hundred on its own, and then
they kept that's another Jackson. So they gave her at least more than $20 a tip.
Yeah, for sure.
He gave her $20, and how impressive is that? That I know who Jackson is. Just
for people who don't know, he's Canadian. So
like Doug's Canadian. So.
I'm very impressed. So a lot of it, I'm not really like understanding like how the writers just thought that they would. Here you go, baby. You want the phone back? Here you go. Phone break. Cookie break, phone break. I don't know how the writers could just again, we've talked about this in the past episode that maybe they were the high like rumored to be when they wrote these episodes, or just didn't understand how much $5,000 really was.
Yeah.
Because for Deacon to have
Hollywood elites.
Like how would they just let this shit go? Like, because when you watch certain things in a lot of shows, you might catch something that it's like, oh, okay, they messed up there, or it's not a new thing to catch errors in television shows or maybe movies, continuity issues or whatever. But this show has so many mistakes and continuity errors that it's like
it would be raked over the coals in today's era.
oh yeah, because not a
Like
lot of people know.
Just when we started this, I realized that when we started talking, heifer legs, and then he also had a block against Matuka.
Right.
So he's running. So I mean, it's common in high school to play two positions, but maybe not in the States, like in a big city like New York.
I would think that his block he was still on offense because Matuka was running. So maybe they switched and they had like a 2 running back set. Maybe.
Yeah. Or maybe it was an interception or something. Yeah.
And maybe he was a fullback too, because he could have been a fullback and took him out. But
yeah,
either way, like I think the school was different too. Because remember, his original high school football coach was the guy who plays a bunch of characters, I believe.
Yeah.
And then later on, it was Burt Reynolds.
Yeah, they're like, "Oh, we need Burt Reynolds. We need a job for Burt Reynolds." Yeah.
Like, I don't even think it was the name of the. I don't even think the school had the same name. Like
St. Mary's Cuspidors, Commodores. No, I think they did have the same name.
They did.
Yeah, because I remember Doug saying Commodores in the first one, and because Carrie called them Cuspidors, and then I think in the Burt Reynolds, he's like, "What's up, Commodore?" Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right.
Maybe not St. Mary's, but definitely Commodores. Yeah.
Well, they changed the coach up, so it's kind of like they just find a different actor to do a one shot. They don't care
they just Vivian Banks it the whole time.
Shout out to the Fresh Prince podcast that are probably out there somewhere. Maybe.
Yeah, another great show.
Yeah, another one. Okay, so my biggest thing was, what would I do if I was in Doug's shoes? Like if my wife was Carrie, I was married to Carrie.
Oh, we can only wish.
I mean, look, my nipples can't take that much punishment. I'll be honest with you.
That's true.
And also she gave him the big twist to take the 100 from him.
Like,
it's like she was very aggressive.
But by the end, it was dead tissue. So
yeah, it was dead. He had no more feeling in there at all. What would you have done if you were married to Carrie and that same situation happened? You took the 100 anyways. Would you have just told her that you won the money? Would you have spent it differently? Like, what would you have done?
If we're talking real life, Shawny P, I'm an honest guy. I just would have told her. If we're talking dream Shawny P, I'm how much did the Knicks cost?
See, that was the other thing too. They were just like, I'm gonna buy a boat or I'm gonna buy a horse. I'm gonna buy what? How much do they think that much money is? Like,
I know.
Things that they wanted were just incredible. Like, what?
So yeah, I would definitely go on a spree for sure and not tell my wife if it was like the fun. If I wanted to let the fun side get away, of course.
Yeah.
Maybe pay a little debt off, but
I mean, you would think you'd have to pay a little bit off. I mean, Doug is kind of like a free, he like a free bird, you know what I mean? Like he doesn't care about that stuff. Even though he says to Deacon to convince him to have the best day ever, we're just blue collar guys. We pay our bills. Like, well, no, because if you did, you need a new roof. This is why there was a mold problem. He just swept it under the rug.
Yeah, exactly.
Like he's not really great with
drink water. They tell you to drink water.
Water's good for you. Yeah, I don't know. I think if I was in the same situation, I might have done the same thing, to be honest, because I don't know other ways to kind of work around that. Because you're getting all cash, and if you're not paying your bills with it, I mean, obviously they didn't have any outstanding bill that was due outside of just things that they needed around the house. Yes. But if the roof is that bad, I would think that would be kind of like, again, like the mold situation. Like, wouldn't you want the roof to get taken care of?
Take it from me, as a homeowner and a vehicle owner, you don't want to leave stuff.
Yeah.
It just keeps getting worse.
Just ruin your trip to Bermuda or wherever the fuck they went on their trip. Yeah. You get a call from me like, hey man.
Was it Turks and Caicos?
I think it was, yeah. I think that's where they went. Yeah.
Well, I can finally confirm our Cabana boy's gay.
That's another great episode too.
Oh yeah,
I like that whole series.
Anyway, well, that's another topic for another day. But I keep switching up my favorite episodes, and there's a couple that I love because I totally forgot about when Doug went to and coached Kirby's football team. I forgot about how good that episode is.
That was a good one
When he's
too.
like torching the kids,
Just killing them, just doing flips, and he's such an athletic big guy too. That
he
was
is,
the other
yeah,
thing.
impressive, yeah.
I couldn't do a front flip like that. Like when he
No,
was running away from the kids, you just see him
yeah,
running and just front
yeah,
flips into that, like,
yeah.
because that's
And I don't
him.
think that was a double. I think that was him. He
No,
was,
that was
yeah.
totally him.
Him and
And
Farley, man, they were good at that stuff.
yeah,
And Bam Bam Bigelow.
yeah. I miss Farley, man. I wish he was around.
Oh, he's my goat. He's my favorite all time.
Yeah.
As much as I love him, I do think he's a little one dimensional. But I love Farley.
You know who else
Imagine him in Grown Ups and stuff.
Oh my god.
Well, here's the thing, and I'm glad we brought this up because if Chris Farley stuck around, we might not have a Kevin James. I don't know how big he would have gotten.
Yeah.
And I know he didn't meet Sandler until kind of after King of Queens and later, and but I don't know, right?
Well, I mean, Sandler was on an episode of King of Queens towards the end.
Yeah, it was right. Yeah, and Farley was way gone by then.
Yeah.
And I know King of Queens King of Queens didn't start until 2 years after Farley died, so it's hard to say.
Can you imagine if Farley was he was Doug Heffernan?
Oh,
how great would that show have been if he was Doug Heffernan?
Yeah, greatest show of all time.
It would have to be.
But...
because his personality, like, oh man, dude,
with Gary too.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It would have been great. Like she would have been rougher with him.
Yeah.
Even though she was rough with Doug, she would have been rougher with him, and he would have wanted that. He probably would have went through the table, and he probably really would have went down the stairs when she pushed him. Imagine him jumping and playing basketball and fucking what was that the
slam ball?
The slam ball, yeah. Imagine Farley trying to do that. God, man. You never know. He could have been that cast in that, because if they're looking for a funny big guy,
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, if
it would have been great.
How big would Kevin James have gotten? No pun intended. If Farley was still around,
yeah.
I know Kevin James did it on his own because I think he was stand up first. But yeah, I don't know.
I don't know if they had this in Canada, but he has a movie coming out. And it's not a comedy.
It's been out, I think.
Maybe out there. I just saw the trailer for it here. I don't know if it came out like, it's not going to be some major motion picture for sure. It's going to be like one of those like dollar bin Walmart, type movies. I don't even remember the name of it, but it's like an action movie.
And he's like a guy that's trying to get this girl in a cabin in the woods or something.
No, he's like a secret agent or some shit. Like
because a couple of years ago he was a bad guy trying to get this girl in the woods, and he was playing like this evil.
No.
Oh, because I kind of want to see that, because I think he started in that one too, but it was a dollar bin one.
Yeah.
But honestly, like, he's a fun actor, but I sometimes those funny actors do those roles pretty decent. I want to say. Look at Robin Williams. But he's his own.
Well, the greatest, like, in terms of like serious act, like you mentioned Robin Williams right now, a person who started off as a serious actor to comedy and was polar opposite is Leslie Nielsen.
Oh yeah, I didn't know he did serious.
His whole career was serious. So
I didn't know that.
When you watch some of his older stuff before, like The Naked Gun, you're expecting him to just like have a punchline or whatever. He was a serious actor.
Oh, so
it's like,
and Canadian.
He's Canadian. Okay.
Yeah. I think I'm pretty confident in that one.
I didn't know. Well, rest in peace to Leslie Nielsen. I'm looking forward to the new Naked Gun movie. I think that'll be good.
I think it's going to be okay. I think Liam Neeson's going to do okay. Right. Kind of similar name too. Is that what he went with, Liam Neeson, I wonder?
I think he's like the son. Here you go, baby.
Yeah.
I think he's like his son. Like,
but I'm saying Frank Leslie Nielsen, Liam Neeson, like they're pretty close.
Oh yeah, name wise. So yeah, Chris Farley, going back to what you were saying, Chris Farley would have been great, and it does make you think. I mean, if you think about Kevin James' career, like, I know he's doing stand-up because I follow him on Instagram, and I've messaged him to be on here, and he hasn't read it yet. Surprise, surprise.
Yeah.
But I don't really think he's doing like a lot You know what I mean? Like there was
Yeah,
that era with the Sandler group, which is I like to call them,
yeah,
where they're in the same movie, like grown ups and stuff.
yeah,
He it's kind of like he's branched off. Like he had his movies, the Paul Blart movies,
yeah.
but he's besides this movie that's coming out or maybe it's out or whatever, it just looks ridiculous. It's like him like as John Wick, basically. It's
Yeah.
you if you watch the trailer, I'll hold on. Let me
Yeah.
look. Let me go to his Instagram so people
Yeah,
can
and that's what I was
actually
gonna say.
follow
Like
along.
while you're doing that, like I do see him posting a lot on Instagram and TikTok and stuff. And a celebrity who's having success and doing a lot is not posting a lot to their Instagram and TikTok. It's right. Like
Yeah,
the guy who does Sonic's voice on Sonic, he's funny too, and he's on Parks and Rec. But you don't see him anywhere else, and so he does a lot of like TikTok and Instagram stuff too. So I find like if you got time to do that, you're not doing a lot of celebrity, and if you know what I mean.
yeah. I mean, he doesn't. To be fair, he doesn't really post a lot on Instagram.
It was
And
for a while there. It was TikTok or something. I was seeing a lot of. I'm like, man, what's Kevin James like? Like, is he scratching to get views? Like,
this movie might have already have came out. Um, but the date says February 6th, but this was posted May 29th, so I'm a little confused. But the movie is called Solo Mio. I don't know if you could be able to, if you can see.
I can't.
I know.
Oh,
Hey,
there it
hold
is.
on. There we
Oh yeah,
go.
no, that's not what I was thinking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's
No. Okay.
yeah, and then there's a trailer. So if you go to Kevin James official, you could watch the trailer. It also has, and I didn't even recognize her, Christina Ricci in it.
Well, I love Christina Ricci.
She's his wife in the movie.
She was my first crush,
Okay. Hopefully,
like
how old were you?
celebrity crush. Last week.
Okay, good. All right, good. Good.
No,
See,
when I was
started out
she's like
young.
my age. She's
Oh,
when I
okay.
was a kid. She was when she was in
Okay.
Casper. I was the same age.
Oh, okay, good. Well,
Um,
that's good. We just have to
yeah,
clarify.
yeah.
You never know.
Now and then she was in Now and Then too. Yeah, I had the hots for that one.
Okay.
Then it moved on to Angelina Jolie. We're not talking about King of Queens at all.
I know. Well, this all ties together. It's all like
It
Kevin
does.
James stuff. We got,
Yeah.
we're adding Chris Farley into it. Okay. So basically both of us would pretty much have what would you do for your best day? Like,
Best
you got
day.
2,500. Me and you were out, we got $5,000.
Yeah.
What are we
There's
doing?
no way I'm renting a Ferrari because I'm not fitting in
No.
that.
Even
So
even that, how much would that be? Like I
I
feel like that
know
would have been it right there too.
a couple thousand at least.
Yeah.
Not gonna rent. I got my own vehicle. Well, I would. We definitely go on like a food, like have a little food fun with like it was me and you.
Yeah. We're definitely
Definitely just some
eating.
food. I mean, I would fly to Vegas, I guess, to meet up with you. If unless I don't want people, if you don't want people to know you're from Vegas, now they do. And then we
Not
just
from Vegas, live in
yeah,
Vegas.
living. Sorry, living.
Yeah.
L.A. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
And anyway, I would we'd hang out. We'd do a fun like in Vegas is the perfect spot to do it. No,
There's a lot of places, a lot of things to go, a lot of places to see, and
I mean
I
we
think
take that money and we take a bus to the Grand Canyon, not the Grand Canyon,
the
the
Grand
Hoover
Canyon.
Dam, and we just have a time at the Hoover Dam.
Just stand there. We would just be like Chevy Chase in Vacation, the first
Yeah,
one,
yeah, Vegas
and
vacation.
then he just took the money from the fucking hotel or whatever, and
Yeah,
like, oh, do you want to see the Grand Canyon? Like, all right, let's go. There it
great
is.
movie. Yeah,
That's how
great
we would do
movie.
it. I think if it's me and you, I think that we would definitely spend a lot on food for sure.
Yeah,
Alcohol for me, soda for you.
I'd have a drink or two, maybe.
Maybe
Definitely a cigar, like an expensive cigar.
I will smoke one
Yeah,
with you. I always smoke cigars on occasions.
yeah.
If someone offers. But man, outside of just gambling, because it's Vegas. I mean, there's a lot of like sites, we could go to area 15. Was it
15.
Yeah, that's I think it's called 15. Not the actual Area 51.
Oh,
They have like an Area 15. I've never been, but it has all these different things in there. It's like an attraction basically. But I've never been, so I don't really know too much about it. Just people say how cool it is. So
yeah.
it's pretty close. It's near the strip. Um Definitely I'd want to go to the Sphere because I've
Yeah, that'd be
never
cool.
been inside. We could check out what's going on in the Sphere. I think that would be fun. What else would we do? We could get on tandem bikes. Just
No,
for
I
the,
would. Yeah, yeah.
I think I was.
I'd like to see you carry me up Bear Mountain.
I think I'd be in the back, and I would just let you fucking
Yeah,
pedal
you
because
up Bear Mountain.
yeah, I don't know about that one.
You're like cheap
Um,
white people.
so yeah, I think it'd be a good time.
Yeah, I agree.
So that episode itself was really good. It's one of my favorite episodes. Another episode, I'm just kind of going through my list here that we can talk about. Um, and it's a kind of a quick thing. Why was Deacon there in some episodes in the morning when Doug, went to work? Did they carpool? Like they've never
I mean,
talked about it. He would just be there some days,
yeah.
and he's like,
I
I'm on my
mean,
way to
a
work.
lot of sitcoms, like, I mean, think of go to Friends too. They all ended up in Monica's apartment for like breakfast, like before they all go to work. I seen them joke about it the other day, like, oh, let's get up for like I get up enough time for work to have a quick thing of overnight oats and then go to work. Like I don't like
Yeah,
before I even started eating healthier. I didn't even have breakfast. I just went to work like 5 minutes and I'm out the door, right?
yeah.
Prepared the night before. So I'm assuming it was a carpool, although they never brought it up.
I think it's
Because
kind of
Carrie, and half the time Carrie was talking about how she was on the or on the subway all the time,
yeah.
and then other times she's talking about how she drove to work, but then Doug also drove to work, so it's all over the place.
And yeah, and they only had one
Well,
car.
we're not surprised. Yeah, we're not surprised about the continuity.
I think yeah, exactly. That's another one in the long list. But I find it funny, and I think this is just a sitcom thing where every sitcom in the morning, and you could think of every sitcom that's we've watched, let's just say from the 80s to currently, um, they must wake up at 4 in the morning to make these big breakfasts, and they all look so wide awake because you figure
Yeah,
most people leave their house around 6 to 7 in the morning to get to
yeah,
work by 8,
yeah,
or maybe they work earlier.
yeah,
So you have these people waking up extremely early, showing up at your house and eating these big breakfasts. And I've never understood that.
yeah,
How do they I understand it's, comedy and they're just setting the scene or whatever, but it's like everyone is up so early, so wide awake. No one looks like they just got out of the shower. No one looks like they're like in a rush to get to work. They have plenty of
yeah,
time. There's
yeah,
only a few times where Carrie's like, "Oh, I'm late. I gotta go,"
yeah.
and Doug's like that. But I don't. I wish there was like a sitcom where it was like real.
Real.
You
Yeah.
know?
And I think it's like, I mean, back in when it was like the mom was a stay-at-home mom in the 50s and stuff, that probably did happen. The mom got up early, had a big breakfast, kids could eat
Maybe.
and go, but they kept, like, Hollywood just kept going with that idea. But yeah, let's be real. Like, let's
Yeah.
stop at and grab a coffee at Dunkin' Donuts or Tim Hortons should have. And
Right.
right, I don't get it either. And then there's no, like, Doug worked in Queens, which is fine, maybe, but I'm in a big city like that. It probably still took him a half an hour, 20 minutes to get to work at rush hour, 9 to 5.
Yeah. Yeah, he
Carrie
lives
worked
in
in
New
friggin'
York.
Manhattan.
Yeah.
That was like a 2 hour. Well, it may not be 2 hours, but still,
But it's
like,
still with traffic, like it's New York. Like it's not like you're just
yeah,
driving through the city and it's no problem. Like it's
yeah,
countryside. Like you're in it. Everyone's going to
yeah,
work at the same
exactly.
time. Like they all gotta
Yeah,
go. So I don't know. I just think certain shows, you could kind of pull it off, I guess. Like Modern Family used to do stuff like that. Um, but with this one, I don't know, man. It always kind of bothered me. Like, how is Deacon just showing up? Like he doesn't even
yeah,
live there. Like he's not even
yeah.
like their neighbor.
Yeah, so he got time to get up from his apartment to go to the suburbs. His
Yeah.
apartment's definitely not in the suburbs.
To either pick up Doug or just to see Doug and
Just to
then
see
leave
him,
to work, right? Just to see him.
to
That's his
see Carrie do a little stripper dance on the fridge.
that's his work wife.
Yeah.
Um
You're
so,
my work wife.
yeah, exactly. And by the way, speaking of work wife, Deacon did mention when they went on strike, and there was the episode when he was barbecuing.
Yeah,
He said, if Kelly ever goes down, I
yeah,
might make you my woman. And
yeah.
Doug was like, I like that. Well,
I would
Kelly
like
did
it very
go
much.
down. So
Yeah, and he did, and that's one of my favorite scenes actually in the whole series because Carrie's all upset with Doug,
yeah.
and she's like, you're out here barbecuing, and Doug's like, I had to be there. There's a union rule. It's not like I'm having fun, and then he catches a frisbee. Like
Throws it
that's
back.
good writing right there. That's
That's
funny, like
solid.
timing. Yeah,
Just
and
how
it's
he caught it.
twice. Yeah, and then throws it again, and then
Yes.
catches. Yeah,
That is a good scene.
that's one of my favorite scenes.
All right, so we got about 8 minutes left. The last thing I want to kind of get into, I did want to talk about if Doug really read Reconsidering Sandy, but
Oh, it wouldn't be Doug.
huh?
It wouldn't be Doug. That would be Lou.
No, because if you remember, um, when Lou first moved in that episode,
Yeah.
Arthur wanted to give it to Lou. So before he did that, he spoke to Doug in the kitchen, and Doug said, "I read it. There's like three guys, or he
Oh,
said
yeah.
something. He
Yeah.
said, but my whole point is, whatever he said, but he said that he read it. So is there a point where you would ever think a guy who hates reading is sitting reading, of all people, Arthur's script? He's sitting in the
Yeah, I
bedroom.
never thought of it that. Yeah.
It's
Because
like,
when I saw that, when you sent me the list, I'm like, oh, I think he means Lou, but I never even thought of it. Doug said that he could. Yeah, he read it. Yeah.
yeah, he said he read it. So that, to me, that's like another fucking continuity thing a little bit.
He said I read it, and there's no one in there named Sandy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then Arthur goes, obviously you don't know how the business works.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, what world is Doug sitting there reading a script written by Arthur? You know what I mean? He doesn't read it all. He doesn't
read it all. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Okay. So the main thing I want to talk about here in the last few minutes is the pedo dentist that Carrie used to fucking have as a babysitter way back when. And I think if that was done today, I think there would be more fucking backlash for sure.
Oh,
because
the Diddy dentist.
It just, the Diddy dentist, Dr. Epstein. How did, okay, again with the writers, and I'm leaning more that they're always high. How do you write something like that and think this makes sense? Because he was married and would babysit her, and now he's talking about he has a crush on her, and then she's like, I had such a crush on him, and he's like, well, I liked you too. And like,
I know, every time it blew my mind when I saw, I'm like, what? Like, she was a teenager. Like, yeah. This isn't American Beauty. This is like
exactly.
Yeah.
And she's not bothered by it as an adult. Like,
that too.
How is she literally was into it, because when Doug went home and told her, like, I think he still has a thing for you, whatever, and she's like, oh, what did he say? Like, she was so like into him still, kind of.
Yeah. And Doug was not really that bothered by it either.
No.
He was just more worried about getting hurt.
Right. It didn't irritate him. It didn't make him think like, wow, why is this guy into, he was into her when she was a teenager. Like, and if you're hurting me, like, I'm hitting you. I'm like, if I know you're doing this on purpose, I'm punching you.
Yeah. Like, and that's another one. I know I'm changing a little bit. Another one of my favorite scenes is, again, because I don't know if it's the physical or it's the kind of the timing part, but then he's like, when he finds out Arthur was scamming his kids for the piano lessons. And he's like, Spooner, isn't that Carrie's last name? And then the next scene is Doug just booking it
out. Yeah, just
with the
take
thing
it off.
Still on. That's so funny. But yeah, but I'm like, I don't understand how that got through when she was like, yeah, I think he even joked to Carrie about liking her too at one point.
Yeah, they were both talking to each other with Doug sitting there like waiting, and they were just so like excited to see each other and whatever. And correct me if I'm wrong, wasn't that Deacon's dentist?
Yes, yeah, because that's how he found him with piano lessons.
Yes, because they were playing cards, and then he was complaining about his tooth.
Because he says, that was your friend Deacon. Apparently, our kids are being scammed by someone. Yeah.
So it all tied together, and somehow they just never knew.
Plus, here's a doctor going, that was your friend Deacon, a.k.a. here's some patient information. Like your friend who probably... Right.
Here you go. And most doctors answer their phone inside of the. That's another thing that
the gynecologist did it too.
Yeah, they just answer the phone in there. They don't have a receptionist that's working in the front and handles all the phone calls. They get the direct calls inside of the office right there. Yeah. I think that's.
The guy don't ever answer the phone. He took a call from his over the speaker.
Oh yeah, that's
Yeah.
right.
But
Yeah.
then he talks about another patient and then says, "Tell her to find another." I
I
mean, they
like
had to set up a
I like what Doug was like with that gynecologist episode. He's like, what goes on in there?
yeah.
They're so
And he's
like
like,
into
he's got vaginas in jars. He's like, those are peaches. Like that's good.
that
That's
was
funny
good.
stuff. Yeah.
There's so much funny stuff and more funny stuff we'll talk about in the next episode. I think this is a good spot to leave it. Thank you
Yeah,
again.
vaginas in jars. Great spot.
Vagina and stars, peaches. What's not to love? Thank you, my friend, for being here. I'm very proud of you on the weight loss, 50
Thank you.
pounds down. I love it. Check them out, Shawny P Snack Scrutiny. Easy for me to say. On YouTube. We'll have the link in the details in the description below. And any final words, Shawn?
No, again, I enjoyed. I shouldn't say no, and then I'm going to say some words. I enjoyed doing this with you. I'll give shout outs to you too. Check out the Final Four. Check out Yappin. It's all here on the Look It's a Podcast YouTube. That's it, right? I think that's the
So
only
far,
other
yeah,
two.
we got a few
Yeah,
things in
you
the
got some
works, but
plans.
you know.
And then there's the How I Shave My Head Daily server error. I don't know.
I actually need a
Yeah.
haircut. It's getting long.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun stuff on here. So check that out as well if you're watching. If people are watching because I invited you. Server has some other stuff too. So, my King and Queen's Conver-say-tion. This is the Mac Daddy of I'm your Mac Daddy.
Yeah, I think I think it's fair to say we are the #1 King of Queens podcast in the
Oh,
entire world.
that's good. Yeah. So Kevin James, if you're watching,
Yeah.
the girl who played Sarah, if you're watching, maybe that's much of your show because I don't know her name. Leah Remney, we're not Scientologists, so
No.
or maybe we are, and you want to
No.
interview her, right?
No.
And Gary Valentine, I love that guy.
Love him.
Patton Oswald, you're probably the biggest star from there now, to be honest.
Yeah, I would
Check
think
us
so.
out. I think
And-
Patton Oswald's like secretly, he does a lot of voice work and stuff, but he's on a lot of like popular
He's
shows.
got a lot of work. He's
Yeah.
a very busy guy, but
Yeah.
all right. Well, that's it for today. Thank you guys for watching. We'll check you next time. Have a good one.